You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 153.4, the College Football Report with Eric and Ryan, as we look ahead to Monday's national championship game between Notre Dame and Ohio State.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Eric, when you and I started this, what was it, about 15 weeks ago, we kind of said it might be Ohio State and Notre Dame. Those were two of the teams that we mentioned. You were very high on Notre Dame's chances, and here we are. We are at National Championship Day. Your thoughts on the season and Notre Dame playing for a national championship on Monday?
Yeah, well, we've talked about it every week about how good just overall this season has been, college football in general. Um, it's been really good for Ryan and I having our team be relevant all year and to make the finals. But I did think about our first episode, and I picked two teams. I said Notre Dame, but I said Ohio State as well. And I
You
had
did.
a guy at work last night come up to me and he said, "You've only mentioned two teams all year that could win this, and it's Ohio State and Notre Dame. That's the only
That's
two
right.
teams you've ever said, and now they're playing." And I said, "I know. I thought about it the other day too. They are the only two teams I've ever said would win the whole thing."
That's right.
So
That's from the very beginning. Ryan, is that what you thought too?
Well, I was kind of on the SEC wagon since I did a lot of coverage for them leading into the season. But obviously, you always hope Notre Dame's going to play a role in the title chase. And early on, it didn't think or look like that was going to be a possibility. And it's just crazy how things change. We were so down on Riley Leonard, and after 2 or 3 games, we were like wanting Angeli to be named the starter. And now you look at the season Riley Leonard's put together and what he means to this team. It's just, it's been a really, really fun year.
It's come a long way from Northern Illinois, hasn't it?
Big time. And we always said, he wasn't throwing the ball downfield. He was missing open guys. And you just want to credit or, or not undersell the value of this transfer portal and teams coming, getting put together each season. There's got to be some chemistry and time to develop. And I don't know if maybe that played a factor early on with some of the timing issues and just the way Leonard in particular looked.
Yeah, Eric, you think back on that Northern Illinois game, and that's probably the only time that we hesitated, that you hesitated that Notre Dame was going to win it. Talk about coming back from that game and the performance it's taken to get to this point.
yeah, I mean the lowest of the lows, right? Um, but I think you look at the coaching job Marcus Freeman has done from that day forward, has been nothing short of, I mean, excellent. He's the I mean, he won the Coach of the Year award for a reason. Um, but what he's done to keep that locker room and those guys playing for each other, um, I may have mentioned it last time we were on here. There's a really nice letter that Riley Leonard wrote to the Notre Dame family, to the fans about the season. And one part of that letter was after the NIU game, he came back in to practice on Monday and sat at his locker and was kind of, dejected and wasn't being very vocal. And some of the other captains came up and said, "Hey, we need you involved. We need you to lead us." And he was like, "I thought you guys were mad at me." And he's like, "We're not mad at you. We're mad at you now because you're not being our leader. We need you to lead us. That's what you're here to do. Get up and let's go." So that's kind of the message from the NIU game was like, let's put it to the aside and let's go. We've got other things to do. And Marcus Freeman even made the comment, uh, keep the pain of it, and one day you're going to look back and this is going to be a really positive thing that happened to us. And we're seeing that, right before our own eyes.
Yeah, at the time when that happened, it just seemed like that's a loss you just can't recover from. And they were able to do it just week by week by week by week. So, and you look at, like dominant performances, USC is really the only team that kind of got on the scoreboard quite often against them there in that last game of the year, the regular season. Other than that, Notre Dame shut people down, and they did it consistently. And going into tonight's game, I just got this fear that Ohio State's going to be explosive, and the score might get out of hand. And then I got to keep reminding myself, no one's done that to us. No one's been able to do that. So why do I think it's going to happen tonight? And maybe it's just my reluctance towards Notre Dame in these kind of games. We haven't been there a lot, and when we have been there, it's hadn't gone our way. But this year, man, it just feels different. You go up against Georgia, and that game was pretty much uh, in control. The Penn State game, it was tight, but I mean, it was just back and forth, fantastic football, and they found a way to win that game. So I'm really excited for tonight. It's going to be a really really great day, or a really disappointing day.
Well, one thing a lot of people aren't talking about that I keep going back to is we played this Ohio State team 1 year ago, and they beat it. We were in control the entire game, and they scored with 2 seconds left in the game. Now, did they have Jeremiah Smith? No, but they had Marvin Harrison Jr. and they had McCord at quarterback, who just led the NCAA in total yards. I mean, this is not a totally different Ohio State team than last year. Personnel wise, it's not at all. Talent wise, in some areas, you could argue that it is better. But Ohio State was super good last year, and we had them. I mean, I think psychologically going into this game, our guys know we can win this. Our coaches know we can win this, and I think very confident. I don't think we're going to let this get away from us. I think this is going to be a really good ball game, super competitive and very physical, which is what we've been doing every week.
I'm neutral here. I'm cheering for Notre Dame tonight. Mostly for the two of you. I'm pretty neutral when it comes to the game, and I think Notre Dame's defense matches up well with Ohio State's offense, and I like Notre Dame's chances of being the dominant team in this game.
I think that could happen, but I think what's going to dictate this game is going to be the Notre Dame offense. We watched the Texas game against Ohio State, and those teams both had two totally different approaches against the defense. So Ohio State wants to go downfield, and Texas did a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage that really, really plays into Notre Dame's aspect on offense. I think Leonard can do a lot at the line of scrimmage. Texas do a lot of short dump down passes, and it proved to be effective most of that game. So I think that's something that could play in Notre Dame's favor. But we gotta keep the edge rushers out of the backfield for Ohio State, and especially Jack Sawyer. So he can cause problems on the left end. And I just look, I think Ohio State's going to be just coming in full pursuit most that game, and that could give Riley Leonard a chance to step up and use his legs for first downs. And I think he's going to have a big game on the ground tonight.
If Riley Leonard's throwing a lot of balls downfield, it's not a good sign for Notre Dame.
No, we don't want to see that. We know that's what Howard's going to do for Ohio State, but
Right.
hopefully our secondary can accept that challenge and come up with some turnovers. We've been the best in the country at forcing turnovers, so turnover battle will be huge tonight, and hopefully Notre Dame can cause a couple and change momentum in the game.
We need more from Riley Leonard. Every game I've been saying we need more from him. We need more from him, and tonight's going to be no different. You look at the stat line he put up against Georgia. That's not going to get it done tonight. Penn State was a little bit better. throwing for 229. But we need 200 yards from him throwing. We need 150 yards rushing between him and Love and Price.
That's the key.
That's it. If we're not able to run the ball, we're going to have to throw the ball, and we haven't proven that we can do that for a game against a good team like we're going to be playing tonight. So everything it comes down to the front line. We're healthy on the offensive line. We get our starting left tackle back. He's actually going to play left tackle, not right guard. We got the Rocco Spindler back at right guard. Those guys are all good. Green light, 100% tonight. That's going to be huge for Notre Dame. Um, but we got to get Love going. He's been quiet. We got to get him going.
I'm pretty sure at left tackle we got Jagusal making his first start this year.
Right, he played right guard last week. He came back healthy, and they put him at guard. He was the starting tackle going into the A&M game, but got hurt. He's
Oh,
missed all year.
okay,
Yeah, he's missed all year.
okay.
Well, that's a good sign. Having a guy like that back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a big body, isn't he, Eric? He's huge.
yeah, and that Spindler is a handful. They showed him. They showed him going through practice yesterday. They're big boys, man.
Besides Smith, what concerns you most about Ohio State?
Uh,
Well, Travion Henderson. Um, I was talking to my nephews when we were down in Miami, and I said we got to keep when they were. I'm talking about Penn State now. We have to keep Singletary from catching quick screens out of the backfield because he's so good catching the football. And you look at Travion Henderson; he can run and he can make those quick outs and really be effective in the passing game for them. That scares me the most. We have to eliminate his touches uh, receiving the football. He's so dangerous.
yeah, that's exactly who I was going to say before you stepped in and start talking first. But it's Henderson out of the backfield with his legs, with his catching. He's a real threat. So we got to keep him contained. That's going to be a, a big priority tonight.
All right, guys. And any other keys that we need to be looking for, especially when we're talking offensive line, defensive line matchups? Thoughts on that, Ryan?
Well, I mean, to me, it all goes to the edge rushing of Ohio State, and can we keep those guys? I forget the right end's name for Ohio State. It's Lalamalua or something like that, and then
Yeah,
Jack.
number 44.
Yeah, I mean him and Jack Sawyer. They're gonna be bringing it all night. If we can't stop them, it's gonna be a long night for Notre Dame. So they got to contain that edge rush to have any chance in this. I think that's like the key point to the game.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the secondary for Notre Dame. That's what I'm going to be most concerned about because if you look at the line of scrimmage with us, I thought we had the upper hand against Georgia on offense and defense. And Georgia's a team that beat Texas twice this year. And you look at the Texas Ohio State matchup from a little over a week ago. Texas was in that game. They were a play away from tying that up late in the game. Um, and I know I haven't been big on Texas. I haven't been sold on Texas all year. But for that game to stay one possession game up until that long return, that mistake at the end of the game, um, that gives me hope that maybe Ohio State is not as good as the last couple games, the scores, the Oregon game uh, in particular. Um, but our secondary, Don Shuler's got to do something. He's getting taken advantage of in the Penn State game. I think he had one tackle. And obviously Leonard Moore, he just was named freshman defensive player of the year. Uh, we've got to have him making big plays. And Xavier Watts and Jordan Clark coming in with our nickel package. He made a great play against Penn State. These guys have just got to be on point tonight and playing lights out for us to have a chance.
Yeah,
That's where the game's going to be decided. I think it's a wash up front. I really do.
Jordan Clark came in, and I mean his involvement with the defense is so selective. But that kid comes in, and if it's just one play, he's going to make it. So I'm really high on that kid, and I look for him to do something big tonight as well.
Well, he's got pretty good pedigree.
You think? Isn't it neat though that we got some of those guys, some of the NFL greats, their kids are choosing Notre Dame, and
well,
it's Marcus Freeman. It is.
well,
It's
it's Marcus Freeman, but uh, Jordan Clark came from Arizona State. So why would he go to Arizona State? Herm Edwards
Herm
was his head
Edwards.
coach, right? So when that fell through, he jumps over to South Bend. So good for us. He's been a heck of a player.
You got Bryant Young's son playing, although he made two boneheaded plays in the start of that Georgia game,
Yeah,
roughing the punter two times in a row that they called running into the punter.
right.
Those were boneheaded plays by him. But with
Urlacher.
we got Urlacher's son next year, we got Plexico Burris' son coming in, Jerome Bettis' son. I mean, Notre Dame. It just feels like this program's is in the best hands it's been in, and probably since Lou Holtz in our lifetime.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I agree, by the way, with Eric. I think that the reason that, and I'll just go ahead and say, the reason I think Notre Dame is going to win this game is I think that they match up defensively with Ohio State's offense pretty well.
Yeah, super athletic. I mean, it's the best defense in the country. I mean, at this point, we can say it. We're at week 16.
Right.
We have the best defense in the country. So go out tonight, perform, and bring the natty home. We've waited way too long.
So what kind of score do you think this is going to be? You got the top two defenses in the nation. One gives up 12 points, one gives up 14 points. Is this going to be a 17-10 ball game, or is this going to be a 35-28 ball game?
I got 23-21.
23-21 Notre Dame.
I think that's
Yep.
about right. I think it's somewhere in the low 20s, both teams. I think it's going to be, I don't see any way it's not close.
Yeah.
Well, the over-under is 45.5. I think it stays under.
Well, based on the numbers, it would be under based on what these two teams have done all season long. But
But
you're
all
always
it
going to
takes
have
is a defense to make one play and it goes over. So that's why I always hesitate to look at the over under, because what if a defense scores a touchdown, and that's a possibility here as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Greg, is you're going to have that fluke play where you might get a pick six or a fumble return or a special teams touchdown. So that's what Notre Dame has to avoid tonight. No extra points, no fluky plays that cost them 7. They're going to have to play a really, really, really solid, disciplined football game. And we've done it. We've done it most of the year. So I just want them to keep it rolling. I want to be able to hoop and holler and hopefully get the national championship.
All right, guys. Well, it's been 10 days since the semifinals, and we haven't talked about that. Eric, you were at the Orange Bowl. Tell us about that.
Well, we had a super good time. My two nephews were with me. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It was a dream come true. I mean, it was a beautiful weather, amazing game, the crowd, everything. You would just have to be there to even believe it. It was so loud. TV, and especially I tell my friends all this about South Bend. You watch a Notre Dame game on TV and you're like, it seems really boring and quiet. But when you go, there's all kinds of music being pumped in there, and what the TV broadcast can eliminate all that noise, and you just listen to two guys talk about the game. But they were people talking about the Orange Bowl, about how loud it is. It's the loudest bowl game every year, and we were like, oh, okay, whatever. And it was like being in the old RCA Dome for the Colts
Hmm.
game. You couldn't even talk to the person beside you. You could not hear anything. It was just deafening, and it was so much fun. We we were just into every play. Someone was hooping and hollering or screaming, yelling. The Penn State fans were. I If I had to say, I think they outnumbered us. I really do. I think honestly, I'd have to say they outnumbered us, and I really think they were louder as well. Um, but they're not Notre Dame fans. They were they were really kind of jerks. Most of the ones we had to deal with. We did have Tyler Warren, his grandma and grandpa parked right beside us at the
Wow.
tailgate lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had all his jersey and stuff on, and we met them. And some of the other Penn State people that were tailgating there. So that was pretty cool. But we got into some really good trash talking, like you do at a tailgate, and it was friendly, But they were pretty full of themselves. They were pretty confident. They even one guy made a comment. Well, we'd love to go to the Ohio State game, but we can never win it, and it's 7 hours away. And I'm like, well, what's that have to do with anything? And they're like, well, we flew here in 2 hours, and we can win this game. We're going to win tonight. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. But we got to, a lot of good trash talk, great atmosphere. I did see last night they were doing an interview with someone at the championship game, and they had the playoff trophy, and it said sponsored by Modelo. And if my nephews are listening to this, they know where I'm going with this, because the Orange Bowl, the official beer of the fan zone and the outdoor stadium venue part of it, was sponsored by Modelo, and everything there was Modelo. And we were getting 3 beers at a time, 12-ounce beers, $52.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
I my
How,
nephew looked at me. My
how many
nephew looked,
how many rounds did Brayton buy?
uh, two. But
Jeez.
Garrett Garrett started it off because I paid $60 for the parking, and then
Yeesh.
we walked in. Yeah, we walked in, and I'm like, "All right, let's get some beers." Garrett, you're up. And he was like, $52. I'm like, we laughed. And he said, well, we're not going to do this very long. And I'm like, speak for yourself. We're in Miami. We're gonna we're gonna have fun. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous. But anyways, so the people in Atlanta today are probably paying more than $52 for 3 of those at the national championship game, I would think.
Wow.
But everything was so expensive down there. But none of us, the 3 of us collectively, were like, you know what, we're never going to do this again. And we had fun for 3 days. All we did was have fun. Whatever we wanted to do, we did it.
Very cool. And you said you saw some celebrities while you were there, huh?
Yeah, we did. So right after the game was over, we get down because all the Penn State people left, and about maybe half of the Notre Dame fans left. And we all knew if Notre Dame won, we were not leaving. We were going to stay there and watch the trophy presentation, MVPs. We wanted to, be there for all of it. So we got down to the front row, right in the end zone, and Pat McAfee was standing there with his guys, and he turned around. We yelled at him. He was like, "All right, go Irish." But the highlight of of that night, other than the Notre Dame win, was Kirk Herbstreit was standing there, and I love him on game day. I love watching him on other podcasts.
He's great.
I respect his opinion and his insight. He's one of my favorite people in sports. So he was standing there and he turned around and saw us. We were like right there with our Notre Dame stuff on, and he was like, thumbs up, like, great job, guys. Man, you guys, great game, great game. He said, you guys are so good, so tough. And I was like, you think we can win it? And he was like, oh. And he was like, yes. He said, you guys are good, man. You're good. I said, can we beat your Buckeyes? And he kind of grimaced and gave the old, I don't know about that much. But he was like, he said, if that happened, it's going to be great. He said, you guys are so physical. You got a great team, man. He said, congratulations. Good job tonight. So that made my day because I really liked them.
Let's make this official, guys. Let's start with Ryan. Prediction for tonight. Official prediction.
I'm going Notre Dame 24, Ohio State 13.
Woo. So you've changed your opinion since we talked on was it Sunday night, Monday night?
Yep.
Changed
Yep.
your
I've
opinion.
been watching hype videos for 10 days. And there's no way we lose this game. No way at all. It might not even be close, Greg.
Wow, that's some confidence.
Now, Eric's going to come over tonight for the game, and I guarantee by the 12-minute mark of the first quarter, I'll be like, this is over. Him and Carson and Beckley are going to have to talk me off the ledge
Yeah.
by the first media timeout.
Yeah. Devin's going to make it too.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a good little shindig tonight with some food and friends, and I hope we're celebrating.
All right, Eric.
I think I mentioned it before. I'm sticking to it. An ugly game, ugly final, 23-21, Irish.
All right, I'd say it'll be a little higher scoring. I'll say 27-26 Irish. I think it comes down to the final play of the game. I think it'll be that close.
I think it will. I agree, and I'm not going to be surprised. I think you look at what Jeter's done for our team in this month, being healthy again finally. The pressure kicks he has made, he's been making kicks every game, clutch field goals. Ohio State hasn't had to make one in about 7 weeks. Let's pay attention to that tonight.
Well, I mentioned that to Greg last week. I'm like, Jeter might be our MVP at this point in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We don't win any of those games without him.
Well, he's not going to pay for a meal or a beer in South Bend the rest of his life. I guarantee that.
That's
Ever.
right. That's right.
No, but I pay attention that there could be something there because I think kickers, it's got to just be crazy what goes on in their head. I mean, all you do is kick, and if you miss one, it's the end of the world, you would think. And to not be in those pressure situations for a long time, I could see where he may come out and maybe shit his pants tonight. I hope.
Well, let's hope that's there's a lot of that from the Ohio State side.
I hope so. They're a good team. It's gonna be a good game. But I think we got the special team. We get the nod on special teams, and we get the nod on coaching. Definitely.
So is
The line, offensive, defensive line's a wash. It's going to be our secondary against their skill players. Who's going to make the play?
So you mentioned that we got the better coaching, and I would agree with that. What happens? Let's say it's Tuesday morning. Notre Dame is coming off national championship. The phone starts ringing to Marcus Freeman. Are you worried about that?
It's been ringing. I'm not worried about it. He just signed an extension. That would have never happened if they didn't sit down and talk and say, what are your plans? They lock him down. He's good.
I hope so. I mean, this could be a yearly thing, at least where we're in the 12-team playoff each and every year.
We went through this with Brian Kelly. As soon as he got him in the final game, it was every year the rumors of the NFL and yada yada yada. I think we're good for a little bit, a few years, anyways.
What's Brian Kelly thinking right now?
Who
Uh,
cares?
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Who cares
Who
about what
cares?
Brian Kelly's thinking?
Man, things turned out well for you guys when it comes to
It,
that because,
it,
as good as, Brian Kelly had his moments, and there were times I'm sure you thought he was the right guy, but as it turned out, Marcus Freeman is just way better.
I remember a comment Ryan made after year one, week two, when they get beat by Ohio State at the Horseshoe, then come home game and get beat by Marshall. And we could probably look it up on Facebook. And Ryan said something to the fact, well, the players got who they wanted. And now, do you remember?
yeah, it was something along the players got who they wanted, but we didn't get who we needed or something like something
Yeah.
along that line.
Yeah, but he got off on a rocky start, for sure with us diehard fans. But I think there's something special about him, and they knew it from day one. They would have never offered him that position if they didn't think he could take it and be successful with it. But I think, as Brian mentioned earlier, we're in such good hands. Man, this guy, he's just a leader of young men, and if the football thing doesn't work out, gosh dang, how can you not be a fan of him?
Yeah.
Just as a man and how he runs his life, and he's someone you can look up to, and the kids love him. You can see it. You can see how hard they play for him.
I think what I did is I think I compared it to 2002 Indiana basketball when the players took a stand wanting Mike Davis to be named coach. And then a year after that, they realized that was not the right choice. And
Right.
I think I compared it to Notre Dame and wanting Coach Freeman to be named the coach so bad that they felt the pressure of, rather than having mass exodus of players, they gave the players what they wanted without maybe necessarily making the best decision for the university. But hey, he's proven me wrong. You won't find anyone support him more than I do. So I totally believe in this guy. I love everything about him. I love what he's doing for our program, and I hope he stays around for a long time.
Well, he's no Mike Davis. I think we can. I think we can agree on that. That
Yeah,
No,
Marcus
but I'd love
Freeman
to have
is
Mike
no
Davis
Mike
back at
Davis.
Bloomington.
yeah, I'd take Mike Davis back at IU right now.
All right. Biggest moment for Notre Dame football since January 1st, 1989.
I don't know. 2013 was a big deal. That was a big deal, man. Um, year three, Brian Kelly. We play Alabama, and we get embarrassed, but
Potential tonight, though, for the biggest moment since 1989.
oh, it's going to be huge. Yeah, we're going to get it done.
Thank you so much to Eric and Ryan for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report again. So much fun every week. And thank you for listening. Please go like, subscribe, or follow us on your favorite podcasting platform or at YouTube now so you don't miss a single segment.
Don't forget to tell him to tell a friend.
That's right. Please tell a friend about the Central Indiana Sports Report. Hey, Susie, tell the listeners what the Central Indiana Sports Report is um, um,
It's a product of ITG Media.
product of.
ITG Media.
Oh, anything else?
And I love Greg.